To the shopping cart. And the lawnmower. We got all the Gen X moves right here, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Thursday. It's the Joe and BDD show. Hi, friends. Hello, Majid Padel, and I'm Joe Carducci. And hello to everybody out there.
Welcome.
Welcome. How are you?
I am well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm actually very excited. Today, I am excited as next week I will be, for the very first time in my life, at the Capitol, as in the U.S. Capitol will be wild.
Be there.
I will not be conducting an insurrection.
Good.
You.
No.
No insurrection for me.
So you're not
just
packing,
a tour.
No, it's just a peaceful tour. You're not
Peaceful
packing
tourist.
a pop-up DIY gallows. No.
No. I cannot promise that I won't try to steal a podium. Can't promise that.
Or is it a lectern? Is it a lectern or a podium? Yeah.
And I'm also going to say, I'm going on the record saying that if I happen to pass by Speaker Mike Johnson's open office, I may or may not be compelled to poop on his desk.
Wow.
No promises.
Great sound effect there, Sam. Keep us abreast of those developments. What are you doing in Washington, D.C.? Before we jump in, what will you be doing down there?
Wow, I am going to be working with you, covering the State of the Union.
Very exciting. Yeah, the State of the Disunion. Oh, perfect.
The shitty State of the Union.
In a partial government shutdown, no less.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the disunion and the state, the shitty state of things, let's jump in because today, Donald Trump, he's also, by the way, right now giving a speech in Georgia where he looks literally shellacked. Like the man is like, you ever saw broadcast news? And Albert Brooks.
Oh, he was all sweaty.
Oh my God. I don't want you all to leave this screen where you are now. Stay here. We will probably try and find a clip of him looking like he's literally melting. But he
is
started.
It outside?
No, I don't know. I think he's in a factory or some shit. I don't know. But he started his day with a 3-hour dumpster fire with his board of peace, which was really just missing like Voldemort and Pennywise and Darth Vader and like Hannibal Lecter.
Can I ask you this? Why is it that anywhere he goes, right, any meeting he's a part of, he has to be kowtowed to, like, like treated as if he were Kim Jong-un in North Korea? Why, for instance, I know we have a clip here of one of those people at the meeting awarding Donald Trump with another participation trophy.
Yeah, let's put that.
To promote peace and security in the Middle East and to foster economic, humanitarian cooperation in the region and even beyond. Given the global nature of the board's agenda, Kazakhstan is committed to providing practical support, including through hosting meetings at different levels and scales. I also would like to propose to establish a special President Trump's Award of the Board of Peace to recognize his outstanding peace-building efforts and achievements. I am confident, Mr. President, that under your strong leadership, the Board of Peace will successfully deliver its great, noble mission.
So sad. Truly. I mean, doesn't anybody in MAGA see that as pathetic? I mean, because to us it looks It looks really pathetic. It looks like he's a 4-year-old kid who's being mollified. Like, sorry, we couldn't take you to the amusement park, but here's a donut. Here's a puppy. Like.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But I mean, this is they all have to play the game now, right? Like this is what the toddler, this is what he needs, this is what he expects. So you get the FIFA prize of peace. He even acknowledged that today. He said because Norway screwed him over, so he got a fake made up participation, ego soothing, freaking weird ass ball with a bunch of hands trying to drag it down. It is literally, they all know that this is what they have to do. I mean, this thing is just beyond ridiculous. But I don't know if Donald Trump heard any of that because he was asleep half the time. Sam, you have a picture of him sleeping? This is hilarious. This guy, like, they're talking about Joe Biden and his, mental acuity and his, like, whether or not he could, function because he was old and ailing.
Mm-hmm.
Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump can't stay awake even while they're filleting him. You know what I mean? It looks like the United Naptions.
Successful implementation of the second phase of the Gaza peace plan. This includes ensuring a lasting ceasefire.
دولة الكويت الثابت بدعم كل مسعى يهدف إلى رفع المعاناة عن الشعب الفلسطيني الشقيق وتحقيق الأمن والاستقرار في غزة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Look at his creepy face. Look at that creepy face.
Minister of
Like, remember when he was snore farting in court and everyone was like calling him Don Snorleone and
Yeah,
then the Nod Father? Like, come on, guys. Yeah, I'm bored of peace, but also like it's the board of peas.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just beyond parody. He can't even stay awake long enough to have these people heaping ridiculous amounts of praise on his shoulders.
I think for me, it's that he personally spent so much time calling Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. And like, there's not enough, there aren't enough people, pillorying him for that, for the irony of you calling another human being sleepy. And you can't stay awake during a meeting with world leaders with all of the cameras on you. Like I would have had, if I were him, I would have had somebody like attach a pencil, like a sharp pencil to like a long stick. And when they see me nod off, just poke me.
Right? I would be okay if he slept for the next 3 years though. Like I kind of like I'm torn, right? Like can we just sort of let him sleep? Like I actually think that one of these times when he's asleep, what somebody should do is just like gently move him. And what they could do is they could build a mock-up of the Oval Office, make sure it's covered in all the fake gold, right? Put his little Diet Coke button there on the desk, and and then they're gonna put it on the back 9 of one of his shitty golf clubs, maybe by where Ivana is buried, I don't know, and then just gently like wake him, sir, some world leaders on the phone to praise you and to tell you that you've just won, the most sexiest man alive award, and just keep him there for the next 3 years. Keep him. He can sleep all he wants. Just have people go in, tell him he doesn't have to travel, and tell him he won a 3rd term, and just keep him there till he decomposes.
I can tell you why he falls asleep though. It's not so much, I don't think, that I think a part of it is just he's almost 80 and he's got the swollen hands and the cankles and whatever that bruise is like he's getting some kind of infusions of medications or whatever, some cocktail. But aside from that, his ego is turning all the way off, because if you don't say that dude's name, I think I remember from his first term, you might remember this. If you don't say his name at least once in every paragraph, he loses interest. So I think like we laugh a lot because it is funny. Like it's funny in the irony, like, ha, you calling Joe sleepy, but your ass is sleepy. But it's really kind of it's alarming, because this is the guy who is at the helm, and they were talking about Joe Biden and elder abuse. This is literally elder abuse. I don't remember Joe falling asleep half as much, a fraction as many of the time, as much of the time as Donald Trump is falling asleep now.
No, and every accusation is a confession with him, always, right? By the way, speaking of Georgia and speaking of him looking like he's lacquered in deck stain that's melting in a hot car left in the Arizona sun, right now, he said at the speech, Biden, he was sleeping while you were working. He was sleeping while you were trying to get a job. Sam, I sent it to you. I don't know if you saw it, but I sent you this clip. This is he was literally asleep a couple of hours ago, and now he's doing.
But how are you seeing this when we're on the show together? What is happening?
This is my life, my friend. You're
multitasking during the show.
Yeah, Sam, I sent it to you in a.
I'm offended.
In a chat. But no, you gotta be everywhere all at one time, right? But like a world class projection. He knows we all just saw his senile septuagenarian saggy ass, this anthropomorphic ass pick, this walking, talking, senile sicko. We all just saw his narcoleptic ass snooze farting for all the world to see, and he gets in front of a crowd in Georgia and then accuses Biden, and then has the audacity to say, while you were trying to get a job, once again, he is the third worst jobs president in the history of time. He is only bested by himself and Herbert Hoover.
Yeah.
We created like 150,000 jobs last year. Is that the number?
Pathetic.
It's
pathetic. They revised it down also.
Yeah, they're revising all the numbers down. But the audacity of this motherfucker to stand there and say Joe Biden was sleeping while you were trying to get a job is next level.
16 million jobs in one term, folks. 16 million. And sure, some of those were recovered, but still, he brought a lot of jobs back to America. And Donald Trump is undoing all of that good work with his bad decisions, with his, the other thing that irritates me is that he is so distracted by shit that he shouldn't be distracted about. Like, for instance, Venezuela, Greenland, Iran. These are things that are not happening here in America. You're the guy who was saying America first. We weren't saying America first. You were, but now your ass is looking all over there. And when you're not looking there, you're busy trying to increase your own wealth. Trying to what's that thing with the airport? He wants his name on the airport, so he's stopping a humongous multi-billion-dollar project.
Yeah, well, he was
between New York and New Jersey, right? Did they untrack that?
He was trying to stop it. He actually did temporarily stop it. Thousands of people had to put their tools and machines down, etc., because he was able to stop it. And then a judge forced him to not stop it, to unfreeze the funding. And then he capitulated to Mikey Sherrill and others, because he's like, oh, I lost. And he's like, not one penny. If you go over budget, you will not have one penny. But all of it was, he was trying to quid pro quo Chuck Schumer into renaming Dulles and Penn Station after him. Instead, like this, and then he of course lies. By the way, the building he was standing in during this Board of Peace thing today is named after him. The Donald Trump.
No.
Yes. It's the Donald Trump Institute for Peace, because God knows if a person who launched a deadly attack on our Capitol to remain in an office he lost doesn't warrant a building that is devoted to peace being named after him. And he talked about it today too, because he said it wasn't my idea, it was Marco Rubio's idea. Nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. It was Marco Rubio's idea, but I don't have time to say that. Nobody believes me. No shit, they don't believe you. But I want to go pivot really quickly back to something you said, because it's important. Because we're talking about the jobs, but we're also talking about him getting richer and him being distracted. He doesn't give a shit about what happens to the rest of us. This is all, including the Board of Peace. It's all a grift. He gave himself today, the chair of the Board of Peace gave himself $10 billion of our dollars. But Sam's got a graphic to show.
Wait, what?
Yes. Oh, you didn't know that? So Donald Trump announced today that the United States government is giving the Board of Peace, which he is the chair of. Wait, Sam, we're gonna talk about that graphic. We're just it's fine to keep it up for a second, and everybody just absorb this. It is giving them $10 billion from our government to go to something he is the chair of. Without any oversight or appropriations discussions with Congress. But this is the thing. Look at that jobs chart versus how much money he has made and how he's increased his wealth. Look at the jobs.
That's insane. You can see the jobs. The jobs are blue, right?
Yeah.
You see the jobs going down and his net worth going up. What's wrong with that picture? And then the greed doesn't end there. He's trying to sue the IRS, right?
Oh, yes.
And if that lawsuit goes through, he's the one who decides.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Oh, I'll just give it to charity." Sure, you will.
Right.
Sure, you will, because we've seen how you deal with charity before. They closed your own freaking charity. You can't even make this stuff up.
You can't. You can't. I mean, again, it's just so blatant and rampant, and yet he's at this point he's daring everyone to just do something to stop him, because you can't, like, I mean, it's gotten to the point where if we don't take over the House and the Senate, but I'll start with the House, I'll take that kind of accountability. This motherfucker needs to be reined in. He needs to be impeached. He needs to be investigated. Every single one of them needs to be investigated. Christine Noem and Corey Lewandowski flying around the world in a $70 million jet with a freaking bedroom for the two of them. I mean, it's just so grotesque. But some other fun gems out of today. There's this weird clip of him claiming that he doesn't like other men, and it's so creepy. It's like it gives me the ick. Sam, can you play that one? This one's so icky.
But I was very proud of it. President Pena of Paraguay is here. President, thank you very much. Young, handsome guy. It's always nice to be young and handsome. Doesn't mean we have to like you. I don't like young, handsome men. Women, it's like men. No, I don't have any interest. Good, that's right.
He has the mentality of a juvenile, of a teenage boy. Like what is even the point of saying that? Like, a man can't acknowledge that a dude is handsome or attractive without his masculinity being threatened, right? Also, can we pile another thing onto? I just sent Sam a clip from yesterday. He said the words like, sometimes we have to force ourselves upon them. And it's like, dude, read the room. Yeah. If you are facing dozens of allegations of assault and you have already been found liable for said assault, sexual assault, why would you let those words force ourselves upon them? Why would you let those words come out of your mouth?
He doesn't have, first of all, here's the clip.
We're doing it in a lot of cities. Sometimes we have to force ourselves upon them because they're so bad.
Granted, it is a different
And I don't
context.
even think they realize what's happening to their cities. And
same thing, though. It's the same pathology, right? I mean, it is absolutely the same pathology. That is how abusers, predators, rapists, that's how they talk. That's his modus operandi. That's the kind of thing that gets you to a place where you can grab at least 38 women who have accused him of this by the vagina and then brag about it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's these exact same mentality. I would say that it's overarchingly like kind of how he sees the entire world, whether it's Greenland or the Constitution or Dulles Airport or anything else, or our dollar bills. Like, he believes that he can take forcibly whatever he wants. And so far, unfortunately, the universe has been like, yeah, okay, we'll kind of let you do that. But yeah, I mean, he also doesn't. There are a couple things too. He doesn't have He doesn't have a filter, right? So he just says the thing out loud all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that he's always revealing like this stuff that's inside. Like there's this weird insecurity that fuels everything. Like that good-looking world leader made him feel insecure. And he needed to name that and say that, right? Like he's this good looking, it's so fucking petulant and sad, but he is
Yeah.
so broken. It doesn't surprise me, but also, like you said, we're talking about someone who's in the Epstein files that we've seen 2% of, by the way, 2%, a million times. There
Yeah.
have been 96% of the mentions of Donald Trump that are in the 2% of the files that we have seen so far have been redacted.
And 1 million is not an exaggeration.
It's not hyperbolic. It's not me being right. It's not me being, I'm not, over, stating things. It's verifiably true. And he goes and says things like this, which is it's very that he would be sexual in any way, shape, or form with that reality out there, especially today when Andrew, no longer Andrew, formerly known as Prince, was arrested on his 66th birthday, and then there was a letter written by the king. This is a great picture. This is a fucking great picture. This is him. This is him right after he was arrested. Lordy.
Great picture. He looked like he's trying to duck down out of the way of cameras, and he missed.
Yeah.
Right.
Why can't we have those nice things too, Brooklyn? Why can't we have a photograph
like South Korea's president was just sentenced to life for insurrection.
Yeah. And they didn't just get him. They got everybody else. They got everybody else in his orbit who helped him try to pull that off. They got 30 years, 25 years.
Woo!
The whole clown car. Like, I'm looking at the rest of the world right now, just kind of like Kermit looking out the window in the rain. I'm like, please, universe, can't we have nice things too? But
that's funny.
And then let's move on to this Prince Andrew thing because I'm not sure if you saw this the other day when Trump said he was totally exonerated, the Epstein files that he's in 1 million times, that we haven't even, that have allegations of him raping 12-year-olds, that have allegations of murder, of infanticide. He says that they totally exonerated him. Said this the other day. So then he was asked by Doocy Light today on Air Force One about Prince Andrew being arrested today in conjunction with the Epstein files. And we have this clip because this is what he said just today.
Question about something big overseas today. The former Prince Andrew arrested by the police there, related to something with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think people in this country at some point, associates of Jeffrey Epstein, will wind up in handcuffs too?
Well, I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated. That's very nice. I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. When I see that, it's a very sad thing to see it. And
you notice Caroline Leavitt is never further than like an arm's length away from her, away from Trump during these briefings. The lack of self-awareness is astounding. It's just, you have not been exonerated in any way, shape, or form. Your ass is in there 1 million times. You had 1,000 agents flagging. So despite the fact that they had 1,000 agents flagging instances of his name, he's in there so much. Like, it was like, we give up. There's 1 million more. There's 1 million more instances of his name. We ain't got it. They couldn't.
So, right, it's like that whack-a-mole game where every time they would redact a file, a new file would pop up. And just like at some point, you just gotta walk away. If Donald Trump has been exonerated by the Epstein files, then Jim Jones was running a juice cleanse, and Ted Bundy just had a bad dating profile, and Jeffrey Dahmer was beta testing a new tasting menu. Okay, if Donald Trump is exonerated, then all of those people are exonerated too. It is the opposite. It is as unexonerated as a person could be. As you told our audience a few weeks ago, he is in the Epstein files more than Jesus is in the Bible. He's in the Epstein files more than Sauron and is in Lord of the Rings. He's in the Epstein files more than Darth Vader's in Star Wars. He's in the Epstein files more than Voldemort. Voldemort is in the Harry Potter books. This motherfucker, they should change the name. These are not the Epstein files. These are the Trump files featuring Jeffrey Epstein.
Ooh,
okay,
that's a good one. Yeah,
he is the antithesis of exonerated, and he's always telling on himself. That is exactly what he just did when he said he was an expert on these files. And by the way, what was he saying?
damn.
He was not saying he was sad or that it was a shame that these girls were abused and raped and trafficked and mutilated and murdered. What was the shame? The shame was that someone like Andrew was arrested for it. That it was a shame for his king brother and his family. His king brother, by the way, never referred to him as his brother today when he talked about justice being served in their country. And the last thing I'll say, and I'm just going to go off on this for one split second, because KKK Caroline, bitch, I want to talk to you for a second, okay? I just want to talk to you for a second, because you think that he's always going to protect you. Think your melon-hued Messiah is always going to shield you from consequences. He is not. He is not going to be in power forever. And whatever way he goes out, he is going to leave exit stage left. And you are going to have a lot of fucking things to answer for, like the stupid look on your face today, standing behind someone named 1 million times in files related to child sex traffickers, murderers, abusers, and predators, and you're carrying a baby girl in your body right now, and my hope is that she has a beautiful, happy, healthy life, and that she grows up to want nothing the fuck to do with you. That's all.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said.
Give that some thought.
Boy,
Fuck her. She's a monster. She's a monster. Can you imagine being a parent and carrying a baby in your body and standing there behind someone you have to carry water for, is in those files 1 million times, should be facing the kind of accountability that Andrew is? How can you do that and look at yourself in the mirror? I will never understand that for as long as I live.
Yeah, she lies shamelessly. It is painful watching her press briefings, especially painful when she tries to say illegal. She always says illegal. Oh my God. Now that I've told you this, will never be able to unhear it. She says illegal. And I'm like, come on. But the only person I could think of who is worse than Pam Bondi in his crew then Caroline Levitt is Pam Bondi and her 50,000. The Dow is 50,000 today, because she is literally she is the head of the Department of Justice, and she is protecting one of the worst human beings from accountability in the files that she is overseeing, right? So that is why he feels exonerated, vindicated, the same bullshit that he tried to spread after the Mueller report. And I constantly look back at that, like lamenting, like, damn, how poorly that thing was managed. But he had his Bill Barr spun spun that whole thing in a way that it seemed like he was vindicated, but he was not. And so Pam Bondi is his Bill Barr, spinning this thing that he feels untouchable, and it's really frustrating.
And just like Bill Barr, Pam Bondi has more connections to this Epstein thing than meets the eye, than on the surface, right? Bill Barr, interestingly, right? I believe it was his father who hired Jeffrey Epstein for this teaching position when Jeffrey Epstein was the last person they should have hired. He wasn't qualified at all. And then it got really weird, because I remember I was telling this to a friend the other day. Okay. I remember I used to be a paraprofessional and I had essentially a 10-minute lunch. I had a 20-minute lunch break, but it took me 10 minutes between getting home and back. So I would just want to get home and check Twitter. So that's what I did with my lunch break. So I'd get in the car, I'd throw CNN on, I'd try and catch up on the news as fast as I could. And I remember this breaking news about Bill Barr, former Attorney General Bill Barr, writing this letter to Donald Trump about how he could do blah, blah, blah. And I can't even remember what the thing was. Maybe you guys can help me in the chat. But it was so random and it was so odd. And I was like, why would this guy retired, living his life? Why on earth would this person who left with his reputation intact, why would he tether himself to Donald Trump? It didn't make any sense. I remember thinking at the time it was very odd. And if you watch what Bill Barr has done since Donald Trump, since the insurrection, for a little bit, he thought maybe they've got him. Maybe I can throw him under the bus a little bit and talk about the truth of what was going on. But when Donald Trump was reelected, Bill Barr got awfully quiet and he started parsing his words where he wouldn't criticize him the way he had done in the immediate wake of January 6th. So if you ask me, one of the calculations on Bill Barr's part, who is also in the Epstein files, is that he thought helping Donald Trump would help him. And Pam Bondi was the attorney general in the state of Florida while Epstein was doing a lot of this fucking shit, and she never prosecuted him. So I think the connections between both of them, Epstein and Donald Trump, go way, way deeper than surface level. And they're not just protecting Trump, they're protecting themselves. She is protecting herself. I just don't see how you could be that depraved, that amoral, that shameless. When we're talking about, you have to know that Pam Bondi has seen the worst of the worst. You have to know that she's seen the 96% that they've redacted Donald Trump's name out of. You have to know that's one of the reasons she said, nothing to see here, case closed, move on. You have to know that that's why she was so like rabidly angry when she went in front of Congress the other day, because she's carrying all of that shit. Like, I just think all of them, all their hands are dirty and they're all protecting all of these people. And it's so disgusting that they can arrest a former prince in England, but we can't arrest the CEO of Limited 2 here in America. Like, what are we talking about?
You're talking about Les
Les Wexner.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's and I mean, I'm sorry, I just went off again, but this is not a Department of Justice. This is a Department of Donald Trump, who, by the way, they hung his banner on the Department of Justice today because they want to make sure that we understand that they work for him.
And that in and of itself is obscene. It's obscene. The Department of Justice. It's like we're in North Korea. And I try to like go through my mind, like, what if it was us, right? Like, what if somehow, this sounds crazy, but just bear with me. What if somehow we had inadvertently elected one of our own leaders who like hid his true self until after election day, and then it was like, surprise, now I'm all like Donald Trump, and then he started like doing all this crazy stuff. I can't imagine a single member of Congress sitting on their hands and doing nothing the way the Republican Congress is behaving right now. They are acting as if Trump has their kids tied up in a cabin in the woods somewhere. And like, if you say something wrong about me, you're going to get it. That's what it seems like, because if you're a decent person, let alone somebody who is tasked with the responsibility of being a check and balance, how can you stay silent with any of these things? He's just like, today I feel like going to war. Or maybe I'll just sue the IRS or the American people. It's the same thing, and I'll pay myself. How are they just, you had a problem with Hunter Biden making $1 million off of a painting, but all this grift you're fine with, right? That's insane. It's insane to me. And they have the audacity. You guys, Republicans, MAGA, whatever, there's nothing you can accuse us of that we can't be like, oh yeah, well, Donald Trump has already done that. You want to talk about sexual assault? See Donald Trump. You want to talk about corruption? See Donald Trump. You want to talk about fascism? See Donald Trump. All of that. You want to talk about starting wars? See Donald Trump. All that stuff. You have hitched yourself to a guy who negates all of your negative attacks against Democrats, because every accusation is a confession.
Amen to all of that. And by the way, you'll notice that one thing MAGA cannot defend, they can't, is the Epstein stuff. And you've actually seen on this issue that Donald Trump very much would like to go away. And it's not going away. It's not
Nope.
even, it's not, the rest of the world is looking at the release that we've seen so far of these files as a beginning of accountability, a beginning of a reckoning, a beginning of of justice. In the Trump regime, they are telling us all case closed, it's over, that it's the end. But the thing is, it's not. And one way or the other, these things are going to come out, and Republicans are going to have to grapple with standing there looking like, very much like, they were okay with all of it, because that's how they're acting. When you had Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, it's the women, which is unbelievable, right? And Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with Thomas Massey, who look, I'm not gonna be precious about this shit. I'm not gonna be Veruca Salt about this shit. I disagree with those four people on 99.999% of every single thing they've ever done and said. Believe me. But on this thing, we need to unite, and we need to thank them, because Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mason, Lauren Boebert are the reason that we got to see any of these files, right? They're the reason that we know that a lot of people in law firms and private industry and people who run agencies and world leaders, that they are implicated in these things, and there has been consequences for so many. And it's not going away in this country, and MAGA cannot defend this. They can't. They know they can't. They don't even try. One thing they tried to do a little bit last week or 2 weeks ago was there was this revelation that Donald Trump had called the sheriff's office or something after they had announced an investigation into Epstein, and said, "I'm glad you're going after him. Everybody's known that he's been doing this. It's terrible, and Ghislaine is evil." After they announced an investigation into him, and for like a half a minute, MAGA was like, "Oh yeah, didn't turn out so he wanted it to, huh? Looks like he was the good guy, huh?" And it's like, but y'all you realize, right? Like, you realize, right, that like he said all this time he had no idea that you kicked him out of his club because he was creepy. And then he's now, and that's why Donald Trump has not repeated that claim. That's why Donald Trump has not been bragging about trying to blow the whistle on Epstein, because he didn't when it mattered, because he knew exactly what he was up to, and he's not exonerated by any stretch. And this is not going away for any of them, not for Levitt, not for Bondi, not for Kash Patel, who said under oath in Congress he was listed in the files less than 100 times, and we now know it was 1 million. So it will come for all of them. Even if he pardons them, justice will come for them all.
It's also weird to me that he has not said one harsh thing about Ghislaine Maxwell.
Nope.
Nor has he said one, I know this is going to sound silly, but he hasn't said one empathetic thing about Victoria, what's her name? Giuffre?
Oh, Giuffre, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean Virginia,
excuse me. He hasn't said anything about any of the survivors, not one empathetic thing about any of them. And that's just weird to me. Like, it costs you nothing. It costs you not a cent to show some decency. Just say, I feel for the families of the victims and their families over what they've been through. It's such an easy little phrase to make, but he can't even extend that much of himself. That's just weird. It's weird to me. He hasn't said anything negative about the dude who's been dead since 2019, Jeffrey Epstein, either. Just that he was a creep, but not that he's a horrible. He was a horrible monster who victimized so many women and children. Say that.
right? And again, what he said on Air Force One today, which I guarantee you he'll say it again, was that he had more empathy for Andrew than he has ever expressed for any of these survivors, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he felt sad and sorry for Andrew, but he's never said any of those things for any of the victims who've come forward. And we can't forget this. He moved Ghislaine Maxwell. Like I
Yep.
I want this to be a question that the press asks him. Ask Bondi, ask Blanche, ask Marco Rubio, ask JD Vance, ask all of them every single day. Because when Blanche was asked one time on TV, his answer was insane. He said she was getting threats. She was getting threats. She was largely in solitary confinement in the prison she was in for a 20-year child sex trafficking conviction. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's the kind of shit you deserve when you rape kids and traffic kids and torture kids. But Donald Trump, not so inexplicably, they moved her, according to Todd Blanche, because she was getting death threats. Really? Really?
Nah.
Really? So they moved her where? To a cushy, bougie Club Fed where she has access to the internet, and the people who work at the prison said, I'm tired of being her bitch. She has people waiting on her hand and foot in exchange for testimony that she gave Todd Blanche, where she said that Donald Trump was a perfect gentleman and she never saw him do anything untoward. Really? That's weird because he called you evil when he found out that they announced an investigation into you. That's the one thing he did say that was harsh. But when she's gonna protect him and exonerate him, a known pathological liar, someone who was convicted also of lying, and all of her testimony was dismissed by a judge because she's such a liar. Donald Trump moved her to this Club Fed, and we're all just supposed to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. We shouldn't ask questions about that. I'm sure that had nothing to do with her protecting him. And you saw that she said she would not testify in front of Congress. She pled the fifth every time unless Donald Trump gave her clemency. Think about that. She's just saying it. And he didn't know. He didn't rule it out.
I see a comment here saying Ghislaine has her own laptop and internet, and that's wild.
And a puppy.
That's wild to me. Yeah.
They gave her a puppy. They gave a
That's
predator
a treat.
a puppy.
You're giving a treat to somebody who hurt countless. It's over 1,000 women and girls.
Yes. Oh, you know what we never talked about? We forgot to bring this up with Sam. What's even weirder is that Huffins guy. You know what I'm talking about? The guy who looks like a hobbit from the Shire. The guy who has the Epstein Ranch. His son works in the White House. He's running for comptroller in Texas. I think it's Texas. This fucking weirdo, he has the deed to Jeffrey Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, where many of these accusations and far like grimmer ones of murder.
Is it a Zorro Ranch?
That's it. Okay, yeah. So this guy owns it, and now he's saying the legislature in New Mexico, I think they passed legislation to search it, and he's like, oh, it's under construction because we're going to turn it into a Christian retreat for girls or some crazy shit. Like, I gotta find a picture of this guy. This guy is nightmare fuel. Have you guys seen this guy? Have you seen him?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm gonna find him. It's nuts. The guys.
So wait. You said they passed legislation to investigate the ranch, but the people who own the ranch are saying that it's under construction, so you therefore cannot investigate. Is that what it is?
Okay, Texas comptroller candidate who bought the Epstein Ranch plans to turn it into a Christian retreat, and that's why they have all of these like backhoes and like whatever you call them, machinery that they're digging up and excavating. I can't say that word. Don Huffins. He's a little person. I'm gonna send the scariest picture I can find of this guy. Have you guys seen him? But it's like this is all so bizarre. There are no coincidences. And his son works in Donald Trump's White House.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is insane.
And some of the allegations in the Epstein files have to do with that ranch and with murder, and that children are buried there. It's nuts. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to find a picture of this weirdo.
Wow.
But anyway, there's just so many.
I'll live without seeing that Hobbit's picture. Thanks.
Yeah. There's so many fucked up coincidences. But again, I'm sorry. I know I got to go back to this, but like when you see accountability for a prince, and yet Donald Trump is building a ballroom and suing the American people,
Mhm.
and whining and dining our adversaries and the world's worst actors. It's absolute madness. It's madness. He's got all the levers of power. He pulls all the strings. He's the one in charge of being able to redact the names of the people in the files he's in. And again, if God willing, we get to a free and fair election in November, we need so much accountability here.
So speaking of free and fair election, I feel compelled. I feel the need to discuss the SAVE Act, and I don't feel like there's enough attention being paid to it, and it's super duper important because it's essentially what is going to happen is that this SAVE Act will enable Republicans to purge thousands and hundreds of thousands of legitimate voters from the voter rolls and just claim, oh, oops, all fraud, and that's on top of disenfranchising voters who do not have access to a passport or a birth certificate, which will now be requirements for people to prove that they are citizens, because a lot of driver's licenses, et cetera, don't necessarily prove that you're a citizen. They just prove that you are a resident, right? So it's important to make that distinction because there are a lot of false arguments and false equivalencies being made. Like people on Fox, you turn on Fox and they're like, oh, I need an ID to buy a can of beer. Dude, that is not even the same thing. The ID that you need, it's your driver's license. It's readily available in your wallet. It's not a birth certificate that you just happen to be carrying in your back pocket. It's not a passport, So I thought of an analogy the other day, right? So speaking of the gas station, imagine you went to the gas station, and normally when you pump your gas, you can just use you're in New Jersey, so they don't let you pump the gas yourself, right?
No, we don't pump our own gas here.
So
do it for us.
So in normal states,
yeah,
you can just pump the gas yourself, and you use your debit card or credit card, pop it in, and you're done. You're going on about your business. Now imagine they change the rule so that you can no longer use a credit card or a debit card. No, you have to get out of your car and go inside the store and wait online and pay in cash. But it's not just any cash. It's not a dollars or tens or 20s. You can only use $2 bills and $50 bills. That is it. Those are the only two currencies that you are allowed to use to pay for your gas. So I'm going to guess most people don't have $2 bills. And in fact, enough $2 bills to pay for a $40 or $50 full tank. So what do you have to do? Now, that's another level of red tape. Now you got to go to the bank to get those denominations. And now if you don't have an account at that bank, you got to open an account with that bank. And to open the account with that bank, what do you need? You need a birth certificate. you need all this other crap, right? So I'm saying this, right? The instances of voter fraud that they are trying to protect against are so minuscule that it's ridiculous that you would consider disenfranchising the votes of 69 million women to account for 0.0001% of voter fraud incidents since 2003. We're talking a minuscule amount, 30. Wait, let's see. What does it say here? Now we're going to, so Donald Trump is saying, regardless if Congress passes it or they don't pass it, in one way or another, he is going to take away your rights to vote. He's going to do away with mail-in ballots. We have to stop this guy, and we have to stop this cowardly Republican Party who has seen the writing on the wall. And I'm sorry for this extended rant, but it's so important. They've seen the writing on the wall. They are going to get clobbered, pummeled in the midterms. And as a result, anything goes. We'll redistrict, and we'll gerrymander in the middle of the decade. We'll take away mail-in ballots. We'll remove polling stations. We'll put ICE agents at your polling station to intimidate you, all this stuff. But I'm going to tell you this, America, right? I walk around with my passport card, number one, because I'm a man of color. So it's any given day I will be I could possibly be accused of not being a citizen, but nothing is stopping me from voting. Nothing, not broken glass, not a hail of fire and brimstone. Nothing. God damn it.
And by the way, where are all those states' rights Republicans right now, where voting belongs, right? This is a states' rights issue.
Yes.
The Constitution is quite clear. Yeah, can Trump find ways around that? I'm sure he fucking can. God knows. But like, he's trying to usurp the power of the states to run their own elections. Like, he's done this before. I remember when he led an insurrection and they attacked our Capitol. Remember that?
Yes.
They tried to pass off all these fake electors because he couldn't. So sad, because he couldn't handle that he had lost a free and fair election. He couldn't handle it. This is existential for him, and he knows that when we vote and when we kick their asses out of the majority, which we may see a majority in the House before the midterms at this rate. A couple more of them pass away or piss off, and who the fuck knows, right? Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. But for Donald Trump, so much of this comes to an end. And thank you, Harper Cooper's take. That was very kind of you for your contribution. He knows that this is the end of so much of this, of all his self-dealing, of not having any oversight, of having the majority just roll over, having the leader of the Speaker of the House essentially be a cabinet secretary for him. All of that, and he knows his ass is going to get impeached again. And also what he knows is that
your third time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my God,
third time's a charm.
So many firsts, right? When it comes to Donald Trump, so many firsts. But he also knows that if he ever leaves office willingly, and I don't think he ever will leave willingly, I think we're going to have to face another situation. I mean, I just do, if he lives that long. That accountability, maybe unfortunately not in the classified documents case, because he's managed to really kill that one. But January 6th, that case didn't go away. It's not gone, dead and buried. No, in fact, Jack Smith was very clear that they can pursue this case when he is not the president of the United States, when he's not shielded by the immunity that the Supreme Court has granted him. So he knows that a lot of the accountability and for the crimes that he's committing now.
Can he be pardoned for that?
Well, that's the question. Nobody knows, right? Can he be pardoned by a different president?
You're talking about the January 6th thing, right?
That case is not dead. It's not.
But it's federal. Is it federal or
It is
state?
a federal case. It is a federal case. But the question whether a president can pardon himself remains outstanding. We don't know that.
But if his vice president, who then steps into the presidency after he is impeached, assuming that he's impeached and convicted, right?
Yeah. Right. Well, exactly. Impeached and convicted. Yes. And unless it comes at the end of his term and we have after an election, right? Like, unless we have a democratically elected Democratic president,
right.
Which I pray to God would never pardon Donald Trump, a la Richard Nixon. Looking at you, Gerald Ford. But I think he knows that. He also knows that there's a clock here. Those hands, they're looking worse and worse. Guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's some weird thing on the side of his body that is not just a roll of fat. I don't know what it is. It looks like it's like
a device.
Outline. Yeah. Like today, it was really obvious when they were standing there with Guns N' Roses playing.
I try not to look that closely.
I think it's probably wishful thinking on my part, where I'm like, trying to, run the numbers on the odds here. Like every morning I wake up, is today the day? Is today the day? And it's like that Winnie the Pooh meme where it's like, no.
Oh,
Yeah. But I don't know what the fuck's going on. But he knows also, yeah, he's got only a finite number of days left around, and I don't know. I just I don't think that he could ever accept any kind of election loss in any way, and I think he sees the writing on the wall in November. I pray that all the desperate measures that they're taking right now, and we haven't even seen them all, I pray that they're not insurmountable, and that we the people will have our voices heard. I really do pray that we will.
my friend Ness here is saying he is literally rotting from the inside. It's so true. It's so true. The evil tends to rot you from the inside,
Yeah. It looks like
and
he's been embalmed.
I thought it was interesting this past couple of weeks after he had posted that idiotic racist meme about President Obama, what a contrast, right? When you saw Brian Tyler Cohen's interview of President Obama, and he did a great. I want to give him his props on that. He did a great job interviewing him. But President Obama is like so easy. Like it's just so easy to watch and to listen to. And like he asked him about that meme, and he's like, it's like whatever. It's like he's not butthurt over it. He's not simmering. He's not, craving vengeance. But, compared to Donald Trump would never have gotten over that, and probably still hasn't gotten over being roasted at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Right.
But if you see footage of him walking into a basketball game and people standing and applauding and cheering him, contrast that with Donald Trump unable to go to public events that aren't predetermined. Right. Like if it's not a Trump rally, he's not going to it because there's a 95% chance he will have booze rain down upon him.
Right.
And it's good. I think it's good for the public to see that contrast because, we tend to be under attack by so much insanity. It's just a fire hose of nonstop insanity that people start like blurring the lines between what's normal and what's not normal. And I'm here to say none of this shit is normal. And President Obama, normal. President Biden, normal. You know what? Even to a lesser extent, but still, George W. Bush, normal, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of George W. Bush. But I mean, compared, you can't even compare the guy that I literally thought was the worst president in history was George W. Bush, and then Donald Trump was like, hold my beer.
It's so interesting because Barack Obama is the origin story of so much of this, both for MAGA and for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, when Barack Obama mocked him at that Correspondents' Dinner, it like broke something in him because this incredibly, articulate and intelligent and beloved and inspiring and good looking and all the things, right? This charming guy that this gets up there and drops jokes and has the whole room laughing at Donald Trump. That is a wound to a malignant narcissist unlike any other. And it set our country on a course that we all know we're living inside of right now. And so much of his grievance, like he's just this grievance goblin, right? So much of it comes from the fact that Barack Obama has more integrity in his pinky nail than Donald Trump could ever have in the entirety of his pus-filled sack of spaghetti sauce stained psychopathy, okay? And he knows it.
When you go on these rants, go ahead.
He knows it. Donald Trump sees Barack Obama. He sees his legacy. He sees his accomplishments. He sees his family. He sees a beautiful, intelligent wife who fucking loves him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And by the way, can speak in coherent sentences. Be besting, be best. I'll make movie Christmas time. All to loving America. Am I Melanie? See my movie. Like, okay, so like I said, Barack Obama exemplifies everything that Donald Trump isn't. That is why Donald Trump is trying to get rid of Obamacare. It's why he's trying to do Trump medicine, Trump RX, or whatever the hell that shit is. It's why he's trying to piss his name all over everything, because he has no legitimate accomplishments. He has no real legacy. Unlike Barack Obama, who built bridges, unlike Barack Obama, who mended fences, unlike Barack Obama, who inspired people to reach for their better selves, Donald Trump destroys. Donald Trump, he decimates things. His legacy is destruction. His legacy is stealing things or forcing people to give him prizes for shit he didn't do because he can't earn it on his own. So when he went after the Obamas with that stupid fucking racist meme, what he was trying to do, what Barack Obama is smart enough to understand, is he's trying to spin the narrative and take the oxygen out of the room. So we're not talking about them and their merit. We're talking about this basic thing, racism, this trope, right? And he wants Barack Obama to take that bait and go back at him to keep putting the bellows on that fire. And what Barack Obama did on Brian Tyler Cohen's podcast was refuse to do that. And what he said was, don't look at that shit. Look at what he is doing. Look at his actions, because that's what Trump doesn't want you to see. He doesn't want you to see those jobs numbers we showed. He doesn't want you to see that everything is more expensive. He doesn't want you to see that the average American household is paying $1,000 more a year because of his tariffs. He doesn't want you to see these measles outbreaks. He doesn't want you to see that he's completely flattened and leveled a third of the White House. He doesn't want you to see any of that. He wants you to look at this racist distraction over here that diminishes a man that will forever, for eternity, have more integrity in the tiniest little corner of his personhood than Donald Trump could ever dream of. And I love that he said that. And I'm glad to see him back on the stage. And you know that watching him get a standing ovation at that basketball game was something that burned Donald Trump's butthole hard. And I'm all for it.
without a doubt. And I just want to say a thank you to Michael McAndrews for the kind donation there, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I have an Alani. That's my drink, is an Alani. Yes, it's to keep me up.
But about that, what was interesting was that President Obama, during that entire interview, I don't think once said Trump's name. That's wild to me, right? But by doing that, by doing what Trump did with that meme, he diminished himself. He showed himself to be so petty that is well below, beneath the dignity of that office. I bet you half of the Trumpers, half of the MAGA out there would never do that if they were president somehow. I think he is underestimating his own base. I think he believes that he's brought their own standards down so low that they don't give a fuck what he does. I think he's overestimating that, because it's one thing if he's doing that base crass shit and sure, the white supremacists love it, but if he's doing that and the economy is doing well, but the economy is not doing well. I'm old enough to remember when he said a year and a month ago, he said, 1 year from now, I will cut these utility prices in half. He said in half. And he said, if I don't, you can be upset with me. Well, guess what? They're upset with you. We're upset with you. Everybody's upset with you because you sold a bunch of lies and all you are doing is enriching yourself. And yesterday, for instance, he had this bogus event at the White House that was basically meant to pay lip service to Black History Month. But
Yep.
let's talk for a second how little regard he has for Black History Month, where he took off Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Jr. from the holidays that you can have free parking, right?
Mhm.
And one of those, I think Juneteenth, he replaced with his own birthday.
Yes.
You know, and he had this woman who got up there, can't remember her name, but she was very vocal, and apparently she's like a grandma. Apparently her grandson was a victim of violence, right? Crime. And it wasn't like, an undocumented immigrant. It was an American who killed her grandson. And that is very tragic. So I'm not here to say anything mean about that grandma, right? But what I am here to say is don't be so naive to think that just because Donald Trump took a picture with Muhammad Ali and Jesse Jackson, that he's not a racist, or because he invited you to the White House, that he's not a racist, because his history of racism goes back. It's structural. It's built in. Goes back to the 70s when he used the letter C to systematically deny people of color from renting or buying his properties. And then it just continued to the Central Park 5 now is the exonerated 5. He took out a full page ad. He wanted the death penalty for them. And even after they were exonerated, he still wouldn't back down. Let's talk about what he did with President Obama and the whole birtherism thing and the shithole countries. And the list goes on and on and on, targeting Ilhan Omar and other Somalians because they're a small minority here in the country. They literally make up 1% of the country's population, but he wants to throw all of the blame on that small, tiny, vulnerable community. Let's talk about the Haitians eating cats and dogs. That ridiculous lie that he never backed down from or apologized for. He doesn't apologize. He just attacks people. He just maligns people, and he gets away with it. And he is a fucking racist, straight up and down. He is a racist, and that is who he will be until he draws his final breath.
Amen. And it is in his DNA. His father was arrested at a Klan rally. This is, the poisoned fruit from the poisoned tree. This is institutionalized, metastasized in the Trump DNA. Remember Black Jobs? Remember when he said that? So much of the election between him and Kamala was about race, and he was very happy to dwell there. So much, again, of his origin story about Barack Obama not being born here is racism, but stoking that racism, right? Like that gave so many people, so many inferior people license to say they, them, those people. That's why I have a shitty house and a shitty job and a fat ugly wife and my kids hate me and my dog's got 3 legs and I have a truck that doesn't work on my front lawn. Like he gave them somebody that they could openly hate and blame for so much. That's the sort of magic sauce of him. But what he did yesterday was what he's done so many times, where he said, that's my African American over there, is he tokenizes people. He's like, oh, I can't be a racist, I have a Black friend. Like, no, you're a racist, and we're not going to judge you by this one moment when you're actively appealing a judge's ruling to return slavery plaques to our national parks because you don't want that part of our accurate history to be told. So I'm not going to judge him by one party at the White House. It's like it's the breadth of everything, every data point that he has ever done for as long as he's been alive that tells us a different story. And that's I think anybody who looks at what happened yesterday and doesn't think it's really sad. I think it's really sad for the people standing there cheering for him. It's like chickens rooting for chicken nuggets. I'm sorry, but like he's not your friend. And that's the same for so many people who have supported him, as we know, disproportionately. So much of what he's doing right now is hurting the very people who voted for him, including so much of what's in this SAVE Act, which will disenfranchise many of his voters who, on average, don't have passports. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of them. He doesn't care about the people that were at the White House yesterday. He doesn't care about Ma and Pa MAGA. He doesn't care about any of them. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He never has, and he never will. And anybody who is willing to convince themselves that the wolf is not going to eat them eventually is a fool. Because that is exactly what he's done and what he will continue to do. And yesterday, that just made me so sad for everybody in there, because he was using them and they were signing up for it.
I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off.
He's not.
Yeah, no, do his job. He's busy sleeping. And then when he's not sleeping, he's grifting, and he's not making anybody's lives easier aside from millionaires and billionaires. And honestly, the whole race thing, it is a distraction, and it is the distraction that is meant to keep the focus off of those millionaires and billionaires, these so-called Epstein class. Have you heard? Was it brother John Ossoff used that phrase? We need to start using that phrase more often, the Epstein class, because that hits it. I'm always reminded of that meme. Do you remember that meme where we might have talked about this in the last show, but I just got to bring it up again. The meme where there's a rich guy sitting in the middle of a table, and then on one side there's a guy with a hard hat. He's like the blue collar worker. He's got one cookie in front of him, and then sitting across from him is a man of color, is possibly an immigrant, and then the guy in the middle has a whole stack of cookies in front of him, and behind him he's got all the cookies. And he says, "Be careful, mate," to the blue collar worker. He says, "Be careful, mate. That immigrant wants your cookie." Like, the dude has all the cookies, and he's pitting the working guy against the black guy, the guy of color. And that's the game.
Yep,
that's the game. They keep us distracted all the way down here. We're fighting each other over crumbs, and because you're black and I'm white and blah blah blah. That's not the fight to be having. The fight is up and down. It's between the rich and the poor, and not even just the poor. The gap between the middle class and the well-to-do is much greater than the gap between the middle class and the poor. It used to be people who were middle class were comfortable. They used to be able to they could send their kids to school, they could buy a house, they could go on vacation, they could afford health care on one salary. And you know what? You know when that was? It was when we were taxing millionaires and billionaires as much as you could possibly tax them. And those millionaires and billionaires, by the way, they were fine. They survived. Not only did they survive, they thrived.
Well,
and ever since they started giving millionaires and billionaires bigger and bigger and bigger tax cuts and shit like that, and having us down below in the middle class and the lower classes prop them up, we still haven't caught up, and I don't know if we ever will.
And thank you to Harper for that generous gift. But to your point, this is a quote that a friend of mine shared with me, and I think about this all the time. If you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. He'll give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. That's LBJ.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Legend.
that is exactly what they are doing. That is exactly what they're doing. And we should call them the Epstein class, and we should keep shining a light on what the rest of the world is doing right now in terms of holding them accountable and getting justice for the survivors, because that is not going away. And this Epstein class in this country right now, they are shoving it in our faces. They are telling us, they're parading people like Howard Lutnick out there at least 6 people in his inner circle and his administration are named, implicated in these files, and they are very rich, very wealthy, extremely corrupt, sick fucks who've gotten away with terrible things. And they think that they will continue to be protected and shielded, and it may not happen today, and it may not happen tomorrow, and may not happen in my lifetime. But someday, justice will come for all of them, some way or another. And I hope I live long enough to see it, because that will be a day of reckoning.
Yeah. Do you think that we're going to see that in our lifetime?
Yes.
I want to say, if there is a top 10, and there most certainly is a top 10 of offenders in those Epstein files, are any of those people in the top 10, are they going to see accountability, like prison time? That's what I mean.
I think, and we can sort of, close with these thoughts, yours and mine. I'll go first, but I think in this election, this one and the one after this, in the midterms and the general election in 28, which I do believe we're going to get to, because I can't really put a whole lot of my energy into any other thought right now about manifesting it not happening. In these elections, these are our shots. These are the last lines that we have for true justice for all of this, but for all of these crimes being committed. And I believe that if we vote in numbers too large to rig and or ignore, that we will be on the path to accountability. And I think this country actually both wants it and needs it. I honestly think that it is the kind of healing that is missing right now. And I think more people are actually aligned on wanting to bring all of these people to justice than are not. It's not a political divide. And I hope and I pray that we can get to that point within the next, 2 to 4 years. I really do. And I believe that we will.
I personally think if we do make it to hey, Ness from Connecticut, thank you, my friend.
You.
I think if we do make it to the midterms and the tomfoolery, the shenanigans with our elections are held off, like if we're somehow able to prevent Trump from taking away mail-in ballots. I don't think he can do that. I feel like a lot of the things he wants to do are still state controlled.
Yes.
And hence, like, they're out of his reach.
So what's that Insurrection Act?
Yeah. I think we're going to see a whopping, an overwhelming victory for Democrats, especially in the state. The Senate's possible, and it would be a thrill to see us flip the Senate to where we have at least 52, 53, because then it'll be, then JD Vance can't break any ties. He'll have nothing to do but go on his vacations for the rest of his time in office.
Couches.
Yeah. And I want to spend the rest of the year informing people to stand up and to stand against authoritarianism, to stand against ICE. I think ICE is horrible. I love that I love how the people in Minneapolis banded together and they all bought whistles, and they were like blowing the hell out of those whistles to inform people when they were around. I love that they did that, and they did so non-violently. That's key. For the rest of this year, we are going to be in a situation where we have to resist non-violently. And why? Because the minute it turns violent, the minute people start burning cars and torching stores and buildings, whatever, then you've given the right wing some talking points about violent Antifa and radical leftists. But 2, you've now given Donald Trump a reason to declare martial law. Don't give him a reason, folks.
No.
Do not give him a reason.
Yeah.
So,
agreed. And to Anthony, I'm very concerned that he'll try, but that's why we have to turn out. We, the people, if they try, if he does, he's going to try. He's going to do whatever he can. We need to see the kind of turnout that makes that irrelevant. And then we need to turn out in numbers too large to ignore. If they do the worst of the worst, we need to march. We need to organize. We need, and I know that sounds, sweet, but that's what we have to do. And I believe what we would see is that the American people, who overwhelmingly, when asked this question about wanting to be able to participate in democracy, this is not a political issue. We've seen it in ballot measure after ballot measure in places like Ohio and Florida and elsewhere. Well, they fucking rigged that thing down there by making the threshold 60%, but whatever. But the American people want a democracy to be able to shape their own futures. And so we have to just remember, we the people have the power. They're going to do whatever they can to take it from us, but we can't let them. So, I would say 100%. It's up to us. Nobody's coming to save us. But speaking of, it's up to us. We are very excited because you're going to be in Washington, D.C. next week. The Siren Network is going to have a live stream along with the DPCC. Brooklyn will be in person at the Capitol.
First time.
It's very exciting.
I'm so excited.
They're going to have a 6-hour live stream. Yes, that's awesome. I'm so excited. Sam Schwartz, of course, will be there as well, co-founder of the Siren Network. I'll be in DC covering and live streaming from a different event, with the one that is some counter programming as well, called the State of the Swamp, that Miles Taylor put together with defiance.org. And I'll be there with my friend Tara Setmayer, who's also a contributor to the Siren. But I'm very excited for what we are going to provide people with, because I think a lot of people are going to be looking for somewhere else to hang out and some content that is critical of Donald Trump, to say the very least, but also clear-eyed on this moment and what we could and should be doing to fight back and to move forward. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm curious to see what actually is going to, like, who's going to show up, because we do understand there are going to be some lawmakers who are boycotting the State of the Union.
Yes.
And the ones who do show up, I'm curious to see, what are they going to do? I mean, like, so I remember that there was, I don't remember which one it was that, was it last year when they were holding up those signs that said false or whatever?
Yeah,
I don't think
like,
that doesn't go over too well.
The ping pong paddles.
Yeah, it seemed like a swing and a miss to me. And I don't know necessarily that they do need a gimmick, but it's kind of painful to watch him. Oh God, to watch him stand up there and tell lie after lie after lie after lie without being rebuked or what's the word I'm looking for? Fact checked.
Yeah.
President Obama was infamously heckled by that guy. I think his name was Joe Wilson, who stood up and said, "You lie." And back then that was considered,
yeah.
But then, years later, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert were out there, screaming like chimps, So I don't know if there is a form of silent protest that will be effective during the State of the Union. If, I don't know, but what would you like to see?
If it's me, one of two things. I don't think you can sit politely and legitimize what is being done to our country right now by this government, by his regime. To me, the optics of the Democrats sitting there, it's this sort of silent capitulation. So I understand that some people would argue that they need to show up and make their faces seen so that they, can be present and be counted, but it doesn't really make a difference to the things that he's going to say. And he wants them to be in that room so that he can do those things to them and kind of make them squirm. And that makes my stomach turn. But if they're going to go, I would say, in my mind, I think that every couple of minutes, a couple of them should stand up and silently exit the room, turn their back on him while he's lying, take the oxygen away from him. That is when you have a bully That is one of the things that works the best. And that goes back to Obama. Like, don't legitimize him. Don't let him steal the spotlight. You can actually disturb his hold on that moment by perpetually interrupting it with little tiny acts of peaceful resistance and defiance. And so if it's me and I'm Hakeem Jeffries and I'm Chuck Schumer, that's what I would be saying to my caucus. That's what I would be, trying to get everybody to unite on. I think the Democrats should be united at least in one approach. It doesn't seem that that's what we're going to have. But I don't fault any of them if they do show up and sit quietly either. It just wouldn't be what I would want to see in this moment. This is fascism. That's not a legitimate United States government administration. They are abusive fascist predators who are tearing down the rule of law and setting fire to the Constitution. And by the way, standing on a dais in a space, in a reverent space, a space that we should honor, right? That space that he sent a rabid mob, a horde of violent insurrectionist terrorists to attack so that they could overturn a free and fair election, so they could overthrow our very government. And then he turned around, once returned to that office, and pardoned every single one of them. To see him, the optics of seeing him stand there in that room, knowing what he has done, again, like, I don't think the Democrats should be participating in any of that, because none of this is normal. These are extraordinary times, and you have to take extraordinary measures. And Sam does have to go. So we do actually need
Sorry, Sam. Did we go over?
Yeah, we went over.
I just want to say this. What you said was fantastic, Joe, as usual. I think a president's job is to lead, but also to unite, right? Those are his responsibilities. And I do not put it past Trump to be as divisive as possible with his speech. I expect him to dunk as often as possible on President Biden, because he knows no other move. That's like, if you're a video game player, if you play video games and somebody is pressing all the buttons, that's called spamming. That's what he does with Biden. That's his spam move. But I also expect him to try to dunk on Democrats as often as possible and put the blame, trying to shift the blame to them. So I wouldn't mind seeing all of the Democrats stand up and walk out, because for him to be dishonest and divisive, and to be a party to that, what does that say about you? What does that say about our party? And I think it's important for the Democrats to make a statement, that we're not going along with your bullshit.
Nope.
So maybe that's the thing, and not to debase themselves, because that's not who we are. But maybe one person is like, you know what? You're a fucking liar. Everybody gets up and turns around and walks out. Yep. Just one of them. One person.
That would be cathartic. They'd be a hero.
Oh my God, I would love that.
And MAGA would lose their minds. So all of that, and let's look forward to that next week. We will be back next Thursday as well. I just want to point everybody in the direction of, if you're on social media and you follow Mike Lukovich, he's a political cartoonist. He has a cartoon right now just out today, and it's a side-by-side of the MPs in England arresting Andrew, and ICE in this country arresting a child. And that side-by-side, man, political cartoonists are just a gift, and they just have a way of condensing all of this stuff into a single image that is just so profound. And he's the best of the best. And there are great ones out there. Bill Bromhall and others are great fucking cartoonists. But go find that cartoon. It's really a snapshot of this moment that is surreal, but it is important. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for all your comments and for your contributions. It's very generous. Thank you, Majid Padelan, my friend, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, as always.
Thank you.
Plug your stuff real fast before we go. all the things.
Oh yeah, check out my Substack. I wrote a great article about how the Trump and Republicans are trying to steal the election from us. Don't miss that. And the Defiant Weekly is every Wednesday at 6:30 in the PM.
Love
Eastern
it.
time.
And we'll see you in the flesh next week. I've got Gavin Newsom coming on the Siren podcast tomorrow. We're going to talk about his brand new book and every other thing. I hope I have a lot of questions to ask him. But I also have Allison Gill coming on tomorrow. You guys.
Mother, she wrote.
Yeah, in a perfect world, there'd be collision where all three of us would get to chat at the same time. And I will again be in DC as well next week on our simulcast, and I will be at State of the Swamp, in which I'm excited to appear with Taraset Mayer, also on the SirenNetwork.com.
Very cool.
Thank you, Brooklyn. I can't wait to see you next week. And thank you to everybody in the chat, especially our trolls. We love you. Go get a new bottle of vinegar. Bye.